Until noon, this is Neil Mitchell.
Kerry Stokes. Now, I don't know if Kerry Stokes could happen now. I'd like to think he could, but I don't know if he could. A rough childhood, adopted, left school at 14, as one of Australia's leading businessmen now, self-made billionaire, philanthropist. I don't know, can people still sort of scale those heights now, or do you need a run-up start in the world of finance? Tell you how big he is. They're listening live in the Channel 7 boardroom. Kerry Stokes, good morning.
Thank you, Neil. I think there are many people out there who can emulate what I've done. I mean, but we're full of talent. Yeah.
Yeah, but does the world let you do it now without that without a start, without a degree, without piles of money to start with?
There'll be somebody out there who's born today who will do better than I've done. And that's one of the great things about Australia and that we actually have that opportunity here.
Do you realise what an interesting man you are?
Thank you.
Because you don't like talking about yourself, do you?
Not particularly, no. I like what appeals to me is if I can have an effect on other people. That I enjoy.
But your story is motivating to people. You see that?
No, I don't. That would be looking backwards for me.
Why don't you like talking about yourself?
Because I like to move forwards. I like to be in the moment and go forwards. If I start thinking about myself or what I might have done, that takes me backwards, and you end up having a little. I like to concentrate where I can on being involved in something that's going to be important to somebody else.
Well, look at it this way: what has made you what you are?
For me, I think it's partly enthusiasm, partly having the ability to shed off hardships and difficulties, work through issues, concentrate on specific outcomes and small steps rather than giant strides.
Would you have done that if you'd gone on to do the, business, Master of Business or something?
Probably not. I mean, I went to night school in Perth when I got there in the 60s, and I couldn't do what I did there. I went and did the courses I wanted to do. I did economics, I did construction, valuation, I did English expression, and they said to me at the time, well, you won't get a degree and you won't get a diploma. And I said, well, I just want skills, and those skills helped me for my entire life. Was
that a difficult thing to do, to go to night school and do that sort of stuff, or did you like it?
I found it difficult because I was married. I was working all day. I did 2 units a night, 3 nights a week, and I had to follow up with whatever that was required. I found it really difficult, but it made me challenge myself to do it, so it was a good thing.
I read somebody speculating that you were dyslexic, are you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I have great trouble with words, and quite often I'll write backwards. And at school, because I'm left-handed, they made me write right-handed. In fact, Christian Brothers at one stage for 1 year actually tied my left hand behind my back and made me write right-handed. So the result was I write badly with both hands.
How did you react having your hand tied behind your back?
You just got on with it. I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to fight the brothers, so that's what they're going to do. Okay, well, I just got on with it.
How do you cope with dyslexia?
At times it's difficult, but I've found now it's not something I think about anymore, except the one thing for me, which is people can't understand, I can't form a word picture. If you close your mind and look at a word, I can't do that. I can close my mind and try and pull a word up and nothing comes.
So you mean if I close my eyes and think of the word colour,
yes,
I can see it spelled out in front of me?
Yes.
You can't?
No.
What an extraordinary way to... And what does that do to you? What problem does that cause?
It means I have to spell phonetically, because I can't. I look at a word, I can't tell if it's spelled right or wrong by looking at it.
One of the brightest men I know, a good mate of mine, was told he was retarded at age 14. He's now got about 5 degrees and a doctorate. He was dyslexic.
Yeah, well, I had the same problem when I was at school, and one brother, before I left school at 14, had said to me, if anyone ever reads your writing, understands what you've written, they'll realise that you're not all that numbstokesy.
You take that as a compliment, I
hope. Did at the time, yeah.
What did you do when you left at 14?
Went out to work in the wool stores, first of all in Footscray, and then I was hopeful to get a job as an apprentice at Radio of Australia, which was down in South Melbourne, and spent some time there, and that didn't work out, so then I was on the road.
Did they sack you?
Yes.
Why? So you don't want to talk about yourself, but we'll get there.
Well, in those days, pre-apprenticeship labour was really assembly line cheap labour, and I was at the end of the line putting the dials on car radios, and they used to have a little, you had to clip both ends of this piece of metal to get the dial straight, and I used to have devil's own problem. I'd clip one a bit tighter and the other, the dial wouldn't be straight, and then you'd have to fix it. So a pile of radios used to pile up behind me, and Sir Arthur Warner, who owned the company, came along one day and said, "Who's holding up my assembly line?" And I wasn't there much longer.
I want to get to the Rothschild prayer book in a moment, because I'm really fascinated by that and your collections as well. But do you ever, well, maybe you don't think about it, but was there a turning point in your life? Was there some moment, or did it all evolve? No,
I've had signposts in my life which have been helpful. And when I was a young fella, 15, in the wool sheds, and I can remember I didn't have a good vocabulary. I had about 10 words, and I used to swear a lot to cover up for that. And this one guy called Clary, a big 6'6" guy, used to wear one of those boiler suits and a pork pie hat. And one day he just slapped me across the face and said, "That's enough of that, Stokes. I won't have that foul language. Now you learn to speak properly." And I gave him one back, and he gave me another one back. The next day he came along and gave me a small pocket dictionary, a Spirex notebook and a pencil. And he said, "You write down 6 words a week, and I'm going to come back and test you. And if you haven't done it, I'm going to beat you up." And he did. He caught me a few months later, and I hadn't done it. And he gave me God's own slap across the face. So I started, and that was one of the things that helped me so much. I actually developed a vocabulary apart from swearing.
Were there people along the way who didn't treat you well, who you in later years wanted to go back and show them the Rolls Royce or whatever?
No, I mean...
No, you don't want to make a point?
No, I haven't got time for that. There are too many good people and too many good things, you know.
What gets you angry these days?
Probably seeing smart people do stupid things, and seeing smart governments do things that I don't think are good enough. And not just governments, opposition. I think we're not necessarily well served in our parliaments, and they're the leaders. They should be the leaders of a whole bunch of stuff. And there are some really good people, but because of our system, we don't seem to be able to get the outcomes that we should.
Where have we gone off the rails, do you think? Because I agree with you entirely, but I try to identify what happened. Why is it lost? Why we lost the plot here?
I think one of the biggest issues is someone worked out micro numbers on Senate seats, and that's destroyed our whole political process. I vote for Liberal, vote Labor, vote Greens, but don't vote for these fringe dwellers, because they're destroying our whole process.
But have we got the quality of leadership that we need in the parties?
Maybe we've got what we deserve. I mean, we hold our leaders up and tear them apart. In America, that doesn't happen. They don't hold the leader of the House or the deputy leader of the House. They don't get torn apart in their papers and their media like our leaders do. So I guess one of the things, we don't encourage really good people to go into the system.